All right, man. So here's the most interesting thing. I have this new write-up that I've been working on, and I'm calling it my one takeaway. My one takeaway, and I did it so long ago. I did it 10 days ago, and I just realized I had planned to come in and record this video, and I never really recorded it. And so now I just I don't even know where my head is at with these thoughts. So this new kind of video series that I'm starting to do is called my one takeaway, and I learn every day, and I'm learning so much even from the internet. I'm learning so much from the content of the people that I'm following, from the books that I'm reading, from the podcasts that I'm listening to, and I just figured I need to find a way to capture some of the thoughts that keep developing in my head when I listen to a lot of this content. And so this one was this video, this YouTube video right here called lessons and called cold outreach secrets by this guy. So let's just open this in a new tab, but we're not going to play it, we're just going to pause it so that you can see. So this is the video with Alex Hormozi and like this entire channel. I found this video to be very, very profound, and so yeah, so let's expose it. No. So yeah, I exposed all the cold outreach secrets of Alex Hormozi by working for him for free. Back to my one main takeaway. The thing is, I had just come off listening to reading Alex Hormozi, and then when I got this video, I found it very profound. So I'm just going to kind of like read these thoughts that I did, and because it's been so long, it's over 10 days since I did this, I wanted to start this new thing called my one takeaway, and I haven't done it. And even today, I have new ones. So let's just get done with it and move on. Alright, so I just got off watching this incredible 30-minute YouTube video that was packed with so much insight, and I thought I should compile this quickly into something valuable. Also, I wanted to share some thinking it provoked in me. So the number one thinking it provoked in me is that you can find a bottleneck in your sales process and finesse it. Yeah, so at about 13:25, for instance, this guy was talking about what you can do when you have got one person who doesn't want to do Loom videos. Now, in order to make that sales process work, you need to work on this particular part of the process. Alex says that you can find a step and then make it a sales off. Like get a separate team that will be creating Loom videos all day, and then they can plug back into your main sales guy to complete the lead nurturing, etc., and then deliver this lead magnet with a separate team. Now, he also mentioned that you can embed a lot of personalized information to the sales process using virtual assistants. These VAs will do the heavy lifting and help you do this work that you need to do. And so why was this a profound thing for me? It was profound because Alex was using this idea from the goal, from the theory of constraints, of you find the constraint in your process, and then obviously from TOC, you elevate this constraint and then you solve it. So if the constraint is actually making Loom videos, and you find that your customers, your leads are reacting more to Loom videos versus actually getting on a few calls with you, you want to create an SOP that people can just like, some other team can make this Loom videos, and then they would get back to you or your team, and then now you can send to your leads. I found this incredibly fascinating, and I just started wondering, because I feel really this idea of getting leads, nurturing leads, how this sales process can feel a little bit overwhelming. So you look for the overwhelming part in the process, you give it off to some other people to do it, because now that is a constraint, obviously you can't do it, and you progress. And this idea of virtual assistants also was really exciting, because like, what if you don't want to do a job and some other person can do it for like $5 an hour or $20 an hour, and if you can get that money, you can give someone else and they would willingly do that for you, or just people who are willing to do cheap work. So that was takeaway number one. Takeaway number two any agency team is super operations heavy. So therefore it occurred to me that in order to get success, you want to be able to understand operations, either be the main ops person or get another person who knows and understands operations. Since by the very nature of the work, you will have many people, roles, activities coming in and out of the teams. You'll also have various nature of work in the team dynamics that you might need to perform in order to hit your goals. Operations is therefore a pre-required skill in order to become successful. And I remember just even thinking about how like lead generation and then lead fulfillment for me in my head when I was listening to this presentation, I just started thinking, wow, what if you have a process that is getting you so many leads that you want for your service or your product or whatever, and then now you have to fulfill. So for example, I have an agency and I'm running this marketing agency. I get all these leads, like 100 new leads in a month. Do I have the capacity to fulfill 100 new leads that will come into the shop and into the business? And so I just, in my head, I was like, whoa, then that means another skill, another super skill that I probably need to have or to hire for is operations. Someone who's able to see the big picture, to able to understand that, oh, so we have this ops here called lead generation, and then we have this ops here called fulfillment, and we want to be able to manage all these different kinds of operations. So for me, in fact, this one particular just statement led me down this entire rabbit hole of like getting onto Notion and trying to balance and like design my entire operations thing. And eventually I stopped. I never like went ahead with it, but just like for the next 2-3 days I was really thinking about operations, and I made a few private videos on my phone, just kind of like trying to unravel what it means. I went ahead and watched a few things. I jumped on new material and stuff like that, and so even that's why you see I needed to do this thing 10 days ago, and so that's a problem. Okay, number 2, the only people who can scale a team are people who already have this operational expertise, experience, and the ability to see big picture, or are willing to put in the time and learn quickly. Otherwise, how would they know what they don't know? You would need to be aware that you need this like operational effort or effectiveness. So indeed, the next question is, if building this kind of scale is operations heavy, then how are you going to scale this team? You want to have people who have operational expertise, and that's what I was thinking about. And where do I get this kind of people who have operational expertise? Do I personally, like as an entrepreneur, even have operational expertise? I'm not sure about that. But yes, indeed, I guess I do have the ability to see big picture. So, I mean, I just started kind of thinking, the kind of persona that I want to like be in this role is someone who's like massively ops, excited about operations, sees big picture, and kind of like this driving business results. And that's what I really wanted. Even like 10 days ago, that's kind of like the person either I wanted to become for myself. In that time, I was like, I really need to find someone who is fascinated about ops like this. And then also just the other idea is like, man, people who then are excited about operations, probably then they're like excited about like this nuts and bolts of management and those kind of ideas. And then number 3 is that this problem-solving mindset is fascinating to me because it helps me to address some frustration that I've had before about work. The nagging frustration that I do not have room to grow my team, to grow a budget, or to grow an initiative. The truth is, you can always create more room if you have the necessary skills and experience, and you have skills doing more with less, or actually being efficient. Then you can get decision makers to expand your budget, since after all, you know what you're talking about. This is another interesting area about being a problem solver that I've done a little bit of work ever since I highlighted this in my one takeaway. I have gone ahead to even kind of make a quick video about what I think about it, and even I started reading another book that gave me a few answers about this thing. So I'll just tell you in a nutshell this idea of being a problem solver. I started thinking and really trying to solve this being a problem solver mindset, and I learned, or I came to the conclusion, that being a problem solver isn't being a diagnoser of problems. an identifier of problems, like someone who sees problems. Being a problem solver is someone who not only recommends solutions, but someone who gives remedies to problems. And so one of the thoughts that I had is, for instance, you have a sales problem, and so being a problem solver is not identifying that, hey man, look, we have a sales problem. Being a problem solver is saying that, oh, so we had a sales problem. The problem is we do not have materials that our salespeople can use to go talk about our thing, and so to solve it we need to create this kind of work. And the kind of work is in maybe like in 3 levels. There's level 1, level 2, level 3. This is how expensive level 1 will be. Expensive, so just level 1 will be like, we just do something on Word, for instance, and then you print it out, black and white things you can hand off, someone can read and understand what you're about. Level 2, you can hire a designer, you can get like maybe basic things going on. And maybe level 3 would be more flashy branding, more flashy graphics, and just a more polished work. And these are some of the things that should be in this brochure. And to get this A, B, C, D, this is what we would need. Basically, you have provided the remedy of solving the first problem that your sales team say that we do not have assets to give to the prospect. Now you see, being a problem solver then means you have to be like kind of the person who puts in the work to solve some of the problems that you see up about. And this is a very I found this is a very kind of interesting perspective, because people who are employees by nature don't want to do things that off the scope of what is work for them. So I just thought people who are going to be problem solver probably are going to be people who are willing to do more than whatever is in their scope of work, and they're just like willing to work harder and like do more, still do their work and still do more. And therefore that was a very big challenge for me, even in my life, in my work, in my entrepreneurship, and in my business. How am I showing up as a problem solver and someone who's doing more, man? And then the next part of influence, I started realizing you can build influence in an organization, in a team, if you consistently show up as a problem solver and people start to see that they can depend on you to solve problems. Then when you have built this influence and you've demonstrated this value, you can now go to decision makers and even quote a bigger budget and say, hey, we want to expand this. Because one of the huge frustrations, like I said, I've had about work is the feeling that, hey, look, this is a band that I'm stuck, and maybe I can't get more people, I can't hire more people in this space, and I'm also growing internally. I'm getting new knowledge. The frustration is I cannot get people to do the lower level tasks so that I can elevate myself to do higher tasks. But if you can become a real problem solver and then build your influence within like the kind of organization that you are in, you can kind of get your bosses and people who make decisions to green light this kind of budgets that you want. And so that, for me, that was very fascinating, and this is like the place that I started into, and I really like unpacked this problem even afterwards doing this video. All right, so let me just pause this for a minute. Had to take that. It's just, it happens, and I expected this to happen, especially when I'm doing this during a work day, but it's whatever. Number 4. So this leads to the question of how can you grow teams, budgets, and areas of influence or responsibility in an ambiguous environment? And I've always felt like right now a lot of the things that I've been fighting for the last maybe 2 years is this idea of ambiguity. And I hate ambiguity so much. Oh man, I hate ambiguity so much. It's one of my passions, like to just like fight ambiguity and kind of like bring structure. And also, strangely, even before I go into the thing, I have wondered a lot, where does ambiguity come from? And why is it that there are some organizations or some businesses that seem to have a lot of structure embedded into them, and then there are the rest of us, like family-owned businesses, solo-owned businesses, that are very ambiguous. man, there's just like it's such a crazy ambiguous environment. And so exactly one of my passions, in especially in my work right now and in my entrepreneurial journey, is to kill ambiguity and bring in kind of like a clarity, a focus, and a way that we can bring in structure. So so the question is, how can you grow teams, budgets, and area of influence or responsibility in an ambiguous environment? And the first one is, you want to fight ambiguity by bringing clarity as much as you possibly can. You want to fight ambiguity and like create clarity through tools like strategy, SOPs, so that the standard operation procedures or operating procedures, or just like our standard way of doing stuff, and then goals, as well as ways to measure them. Use clarity focused tools like Word. And I had a thing that I hope I would make a video about someday, is that when in clarity, there are two things you want to enforce. You want to enforce clarity enforcing tools, so like Word, PowerPoint, but actual like reports and stuff like that. And then clarity reinforcing environments or routines, so meetings, one-on-ones, kind of like things that would force people to show up and get clear. Because now you see, even if you like digitize and you have all these things on like a Google document or a Word or a PowerPoint presentation, again, if you don't have like clarity, like reinforcing routines like meetings, they still get lost in like just in the minutia of everyday work. So yeah, use clarity tools like Word documents, Google Docs, slides, and even video to digitize your correspondence so that it can have paper trail. And then number 2, communicate. Learn and expand more ways of communication like texts, videos, and meetings. Encourage more discussions and openness about where you are and where you're hoping to achieve. Raise the importance of openness and communication to the top so that you can always catch things and not miss an emergency. I just found this idea of, and it's crazy because even I don't like to over communicate with people, right? But then I don't like too many texts, too many WhatsApp notifications that are just useless. And it's interesting that in as much as I don't like them, I always check my email and I'm always getting like communications from people. But now you want to find a way to elevate communications to the top. One of the times at my workplace, I suggested that we, and that goes back to like problem solver who's just like identifying problems but not actually solving them, who's not, and that's not being a problem solver, like I said. And so I was saying, hey man, we need to figure out how to enhance our communications, how to expand like our communications. We should probably have like a weekly newsletter and emails, and we should create like a structure where people are able to see what's important every week. And then they were saying stuff like, why don't you work on it? Why don't you go ahead and do that thing that you recommended? And so I left and never worked on it, which is crazy because sometimes when you recommend things and they say, you're the recommender, why don't you just make that happen? It's very interesting because I feel like a lot of people kind of refuse to take responsibility, especially when you come with a new work, that they just see that, hey man, that's more effort on me. And so that's also like another interesting work challenge that I hope to solve. So anyway, about communication, it's very important. And I wonder if I can be able to build like a world-class communications, internal comms, especially internal, not external, like a world-class internal communications effort, when I don't even like that much internal communication. I don't even like that much just like WhatsApp messages. So that remains an interesting challenge for me. And then number 3, I said, is measure and change or enforce. So whenever you do anything, measure it and then share the learnings, enforce those things that work into like an SOP that is in the organization, and the story of how you got there, and the learnings of the organization will embed moving onwards. I have started learning even the importance of the story being like a reinforcing thing of you moving from one position to the next. I think maybe in my earlier seasons, I did not see the importance of individual commitments into even new initiatives. There's always going to be a story behind a new initiative, and when you undertook that initiative and kind of the successes or the failures that you got during that initiative, if you can develop the habit and the power of capturing this story, you can enforce this thing as like a cultural tool in your organization that helps you people work in a way that makes work happen. And I guess maybe this is even one of the reasons why I'm saying, hey, let me just jump on this and make this video happen and move on. Because if I had wanted to convert this into like a PowerPoint presentation, and I just seeing how much effort it's going to take me to just be able like to even do this. So if I already had notes, why am I putting all that external extra effort that is making me even not do the work? You see? So from moving onwards, man, I'll just be. And then it so happened that I also watched another video on YouTube by this guy who was teaching lead generation, and he was just teaching from his notes. He was teaching from his Google notes and his Notion notes. Like, bruh, I do not have to create an entire PowerPoint in order to teach. I can just read my notes and I'll move on, because I would have done the work, I'd have finished the work, and I'd have moved on. So just expect this to be like word heavy. And maybe one day when I have more people, I'm going to make like very flashy animations and presentations. And then number 5, I learned that lead generation effort is a big marketing tactic that can yield fascinating results for a business. Imagine if you're able to find, nurture, and deliver 1,000 qualified leads to any business. You'll be able to unlock so much money, since you can potentially get a piece of the upside. I discovered that it's also an entire system that might be overwhelming to implement as a marketing strategy, but absolutely worth a shot. This is maybe also something that I've learned in the last week after. So I read $100 Million Leads by Alex Hormozi. I watched this video about leads. I proceeded to watch other videos about how people are generating leads through cold email, cold calls, and all these different like lead generating tactics. And then I just saw how this is an insane kind of effort to generate leads for your business. But there are agencies that do this. Their main work is to find leads for you. Their main work is to deliver qualified leads for your business. I think that's a fascinating thing for me, and something fascinating that I learned. Even I started wondering, how can you then have like a lead generation, I think, just always ongoing in your business? The guy who I watched this videos on YouTube was like, man, really don't want to do this as an internal effort. Maybe you want to hire like a social media marketing agency that's going to like generate these leads for you. And then I just saw that also immediately that becomes like a very lucrative agency business to get into, because every business wants leads. And if you go to a business or a small business and tell them, hey, I'll get you 1,000 small leads, I'll create the lead generation engine for you, all you have to do is like to deliver. Wouldn't that be valuable? If someone walked in right on the door right now and told me, hey, listen, I'm going to give you 100 new leads this month, and I'm going to nurture them, and I'm going to deliver for you. All you have to do is to deliver the work. That would be so valuable for me as an entrepreneur. I would even stop this idea of looking for leads and now just jump into the idea of now how am I going to fulfill all this work that I've said I'm going to do. And so then it becomes one of the most unique, I feel like one of the most unique strategies that you can use for your marketing. And all these thoughts I developed after listening to a 30-minute video. I thought that was so profound, and I want to keep doing this moving onward. So that's the end of the video. So the next part was I tried to summarize these things with ChatGPT, with Bard AI. I tried to ask it to help me to expand a lot of my thoughts. I went to ChatGPT. It gave me a lot of things that I don't think I'm going to to talk about right now. I wanted to find some actionable items that I can implement. It was fascinating. For example, in the bottlenecks, one action is this: conduct a thorough analysis of my sales process. And it was fascinating, all these things that I think could be action steps for me moving onwards. Number two, assess your team's operational knowledge. And I was asking myself these questions, like, how is even my operations knowledge? How is even the operational expertise? Like, bro, it's scary. Evaluate the operational experience within your leadership team. Do you even have ops? And all these questions are just so powerful after I asked ChatGPT to help me think about action steps moving onwards. And I realized all these areas are areas that I probably want to come back and work on, and kind of like finesse. And so that was very fascinating for me. Let me see what else I was able to and then I asked ChatGPT to help me. So after the action steps, I was like, hey, give me like a questionnaire in each section that can help individuals think through and then apply these lessons. And so the lesson one was in identifying and addressing bottlenecks. It came up with like 3 questions with when was the last time we conducted an analysis of our sales process? Bruh, how do we currently handle resistance to specific tasks in our sales process? And what tools or strategies can we implement to alleviate common bottlenecks? And then after you answer, I mean, you could use this information to just like to finesse a lot of your operations. And so for me, I ended up using ChatGPT to even give me more things to work on, to give me more questions to work on. And I found this process and this routine extremely valuable for me, even as a leader and someone who is trying to build things in his area. So because of time, I probably might come back and talk about these things later on, but I found this process extremely valuable. Having a one takeaway, taking the takeaway, breaking it down, using ChatGPT to help you clarify a lot of the action steps, then using ChatGPT to help you find like think through some of the key questions that people think through when they're dealing with this kind of issues. And so that was fascinatingly valuable. So I'll see you next time with my one takeaway, which is something I hope to do almost every day. So see you.